Welcome to the Hidden Orchard podcast, a radical exploration of spirituality, science, and the Bible from a Jewish perspective. Each week we'll look at a new topic and dive deep into the texts that inspire and enrich our lives. So whether you're a seasoned expert or just curious about a topic, there's something for everyone. So sit back, relax, and we'll get to today's episode in a bit. But first, if you haven't done so, visit thehiddenorchard.com and subscribe. It's free, and you'll receive access to content and weekly emails. There you can also subscribe for a paid membership and get access to everything on the site and be the first to hear about online study opportunities where you can meet and interact with other people on the journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have an idea for a topic, reach out to me at thehiddenorchard.com. Now, let's get to today's episode. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus is famously asked about paying taxes to Caesar. Jesus' answer is often viewed as a clever response to a political trap, emphasizing the separation of civic and religious responsibilities. In this view, the focus anchors on the tension between Jesus and certain Pharisees and Herodians of his day. It's true, though, taxes had long been a difficult part of daily life in the Roman Empire, but there is much more to this encounter, and perhaps a deeper meaning, too. One that brings us back to the earliest ideas in the creation narrative. Aside from the trap of the discussion, there are many underlying dimensions at play here. One aspect of the question is on the permissibility of using coins that bear idolatrous images. This was already an intra-rabbinic discussion in Jesus' time, and would likely have been an everyday question for religious and common people. The reason: the Torah explicitly forbids the creation and especially the worship of images, as these are often associated with idolatry. In Exodus 20, verse 4, we read, "You shall not make for yourself a sculptured image, or any likeness of what is in the heavens above, or on the earth below, or in the waters underneath the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them." Now, Roman coins, like the denarius mentioned in the Gospels, often feature the image of the reigning Caesar at that time. In this particular time, the emperor was Tiberius, and though Tiberius did not accept the excessive adornment of divinity, as other emperors had, many Romans saw him as a continuation of the divine position of emperor. And as a result, this was surely within the realm of idolatry. But to add to the complexity, the Torah also prohibits bringing impure or dirty money into the temple, precluding money earned through immoral means. In other words, where we get our money from matters. And as it is well known, the Romans used their money for a wide range of impure and idolatrous activities. In addition, many of their coins bore the image of idols, and in some cases, coins had nudity on them. Thus, Roman coins posed a multi-layered problem for Torah-observant Jews within the Roman Empire. On the other hand, Exodus 30, verse 13, requires a half shekel offering in the temple, but the text does not explicitly say which type of coin to use. After discussion, the sages chose the Tyrian coin as acceptable for temple use, partly because it was made of pure silver. But this discussion and decision was not without controversy. You see, the Tyrian coin also had the image of an eagle on them. After some discussion, the sages distinguished between images, that is, statues and coins, etc., those intended for decoration and those for worship. The Tyrian eagle was deemed to be merely decorative, and therefore allowed in the temple. So, to protect the purity of the temple, the sages instituted the money changers, the shulchanim. Now, their job was to post around the temple courts to exchange various currencies for the Tyrian shekel. This would have been very helpful for diasporic Jews and visitors from various regions outside of Israel, so they could exchange their money for use in worship. And most are familiar with the story of Jesus overturning the money changers' tables. Some degree of the money changers appear to have been corrupted by Caiaphas' leadership in the first century. And through this, they would implement high exchange fees and even in some cases let improper coins into the temple treasury at times. But despite the bad reputation they get from the gospel, the institution itself was very important in separating the pure from the impure. And so, nevertheless, a solution existed for the temple, but the problem was not totally resolved for everyone else. Would using idolatrous coins every day make one impure, or even block holiness? It's a logical question. Total avoidance would be too burdensome for the common people. Plus, the Romans would not be so fond of a competing financial system within their boundaries. There needed to be some middle ground. Later writings would help solve problems for future generations. However, these discussions were still relatively fluid in the first century. From the Talmud, we see a 3rd century story, and it's relevant here. Tractate Avodah Zarah 6. It says, "There was an incident involving a certain heretic who sent a Caesarean dinar to Rabbi Yehuda on the day of the heretic's festival. Rabbi Yehuda said to Reish Lakish, who was sitting with him, 'What shall I do? If I take the dinar, he will go and thank his idol for the success of his endeavor. But if I do not take the dinar, he will harbor enmity towards me.' Reish Lakish offered a solution. He said, 'Take the coin and throw it in a pit in the presence of the heretic.' Rabbi Yehuda said, 'All the more so, this will cause him to harbor enmity towards me.' Reish Lakish said, 'You should throw it or drop it in an unusual manner so that it looks like it happened on accident.'" Again, the idea here is between the leaders of Israel at this time, what do we do with these coins? And so this is the same question we see behind the question posed to Jesus. To avoid economic hardship on the Jewish people and promote peace among the Romans, the sages allowed the use of coins for everyday taxes and purchases with a few stipulations. For example, use the coins, but do not gaze at or admire the images. Some would choose to be more strict. An example is that of Rabbi Menachem Bar Simai, who was praised for his practice of avoiding looking at the coins altogether. Other questions likely included in this discussion would have been, can the coins be swapped out on Shabbat? If a Roman coin is associated with idolatry or immorality, do Jews share guilt and spiritual punishment for using them? And though Jewish law encourages Jewish people to be law-abiding citizens, is there a time to disobey rulers when secular laws and institutions violate Torah law? And many other questions like this can be found in these rabbinic discussions. Okay, so what does this mean? By highlighting Caesar's image, Jesus evoked the Torah prohibitions, the groundwork, providing practical advice to avoid getting into conflict with the Romans. But in the final analysis, Jesus and the sages largely agree on the economic aspect. But there's still a deeper lesson between the lines here. This discussion taps into a very common trope in the rabbinic literature regarding the image of coins and the creation of humankind. In other places, the creator is described as a lender or a banker who mints coins and lends them out. Thus, people are likened to coins, minted from the image of the creator, the Tselem Elohim. And this ties back to Genesis and the creation of Adam. In the Midrash, we read, "The Holy One, blessed be He, stamped all people with the seal of Adam, the first man, as all of them are the offspring, and not one of them is similar to another." In this Midrash, we see this image of Adam in a coin, and that the Creator creates all of us in the image of Adam, in the image of the Creator. Jesus' teaching seems to draw from this same idea. His teaching was more than clever advice. His call was to remind his listeners of their creation and purpose, being made in the image of God. The coin motif is applied to the mystical level as well, representing our soul, given to us at the beginning of life. Like borrowers, we will deposit our soul back with the Creator at the end of life. Jesus references this idea numerous times in parables, and in his last words, he says, "Father, into your hands I commit my soul." I've unpacked this one at a deeper level in an article all its own, and you can find that on thehiddenorchard.com. So we learn even these simple exchanges in the Gospels can serve as a portal to a universe of spiritual themes and lessons from the rabbinic literature. To me, this exchange is less about taxes, and it's more about reconnecting with our created purpose, to live into the likeness of the Creator. This is a familiar lesson, one quoted elsewhere. "You shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your soul, and with all of your might." That's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this topic. Remember, you can find more information at thehiddenorchard.com. If you liked what you heard, please leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. We don't really engage in marketing, so it's word of mouth and references like that really help spread the word. Also, I want to say thank you to those who subscribe to the site and those who support the Hidden Orchard Project financially. Without you, it wouldn't be possible, so thank you. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.